Hello, Ed. Good morning. Good morning. You're all muted.
Good morning.
Good morning. How are you?
Good. I'm trying to set up our office um, computer here, so give me a minute.
Take your time. Rob is not
We're
on yet.
we're the early birds, right?
When we can, we can.
Yes. All right, I'm gonna turn off audio and video real quick so I can get this set up.
Okay. You're muted, Ed. You're muted.
I know, I'm trying to set up my computer. Are you talking to me?
No, I'm talking to Ed. He's
Oh, sorry.
online, but he's muted. It's here. Everybody's coming in. It's Bobby Golden and Iva. One at a time. Hey, Bobby.
Hello, Abe. How you doing, buddy?
I'm good. That's my old stamping grounds. It's still on the map.
We're holding it down. It's a little bit chaotic here in Middlesex County, but we're doing okay.
You know, I used to own a home in Edison in Woodbury Circle, Woodbury Court off of New Dover Road many years ago.
Yeah, we had a brief conversation about the good old days.
Yeah, I remember Inman Avenue, how when I put up that shop right, that whole shopping center, how it took off.
They just sold that actually.
Oh yeah,
Yeah, there's a big article in the paper.
really?
Hey, Abe, listen to this. Only because you're from Jersey. You realize that they don't print the Star Ledger anymore?
Yeah, I know. I know all about it. My twin brother lives in Livingston.
Oh, there you go.
Isn't it crazy? The New York News and the Star Ledger both went out.
Yeah, it's just the sign of the times. And locally, see, I used to be a paper boy I had a paper out till I was 21, but well, it would have been the
Really?
Jersey Amboy News or now, the News Tribune, whatever. Now they call it the Home News. They don't do, no more paper boys. The post office delivers the paper.
Isn't it amazing?
Yeah. And the paper actually is, well, last time I checked, it was $1.50 a day for what would have been the News Tribune.
Really?
And when I was a paper boy, it was $1.05 for the whole week.
Yeah, I remember they dropped people off at the door like 6 o'clock in the morning.
Yep, yep, yep. But you could get it online now.
Huh. Hey, Todd,
Hey Abe, how you doing?
I'm good. Are we on for Monday?
No, I've been meaning to call you. I'm not going to be able to play on Monday.
All right.
Sorry. You'll just have to go out there and beat Eric without me.
Have no fear. Abe is there. I'm having Peter join us.
I'll be in the office Tuesday.
All right. See you then.
Okay.
Waiting for the chief. And we're waiting for his Rob to show up. There he is. Good morning, Rob.
How's everybody doing?
Good.
Fantastic. Oh, we have a low count. Let's give it a minute for everybody to pop on. Okay. So while we're waiting for for people to pop on, what do you feel like the top two skills for success in real estate are? The top two characteristics? Would it be ability to generate leads, ability to convert, market knowledge, time blocking and discipline, setting up systems?
Discipline.
And I think all of them are kind of critical, but what do you guys think is generally accepted by the experts to be, the top things that we need to do to have abundant success?
Consistency is number one.
Consistency is number one.
That's what I think.
Okay. Anybody else? So, I'm sorry,
Follow-up.
follow up. We're kind of in the consistency camp, right?
Yeah, if you're consistent with follow-up, yeah.
Two more people.
I think the ability to build relationships and stay top of mind.
Relationships and top of mind. So number one in the I'm going to put this in the generally accepted category is the ability to generate business or leads. And I think Bobby and Jason, you said top of mind and discipline. So you have to have a funnel to get your business. Okay. And the second thing is you need to have discipline or systems. So those are generally the two most critical pieces, which, I mean, there's about 8 of them. And, lead generation is kind of like a passe phrase. But if you don't have a pipeline of business, you forget about the sales component to our business. Not much else matters. And I think, lead generation, systems for follow-up and having really good communication skills, probably are amongst the top 3 things that I would say. And, communication skills is a lot more in depth than what you would think. What are communication skills to anybody on the call? What do you think those mean?
Being able to shut up and listen.
Shut up and listen. Okay. So being able to ask the right questions, and Jose, that's the person who asks the questions is the person that's in charge.
Oh yeah.
Okay, you're controlling the conversation if you can you're asking the questions. What other parts of communication do you think are opportunities for us?
Right now, for us, we're joining the select team,
Yeah.
so
No,
we can call.
sorry.
So in my opinion, every single element of a transaction revolves around communication skills. From when you talk to a client, a prospective client, a lead, they're going to make a determination whether they're going to work with you based upon how you're able to communicate with them. Once you make a relationship with a client or a lead, what happens next is you have to be able to communicate with them to make the right choice. And that means if you're on a listing appointment, okay, you have to get them to understand how the process works, right? You have to get them to follow the best practice for success. Once you have a listing or you're working with a buyer, you have to communicate with the opposite side of the transaction. Has anybody gotten an offer emailed to you without a phone call in the past month?
Yes.
Yes.
What do you think?
Daily.
What do you think about that when you see a email come across and nobody even called you to give you the context behind it?
Not a very serious offer then.
Yeah, usually
Yeah.
investors lowball cash offers or sub to creative financing. But yeah, nobody that's serious.
Well, even
So,
if it's
yeah.
another agent, I think it's what separates the amateurs from the professionals.
I mean, many of you know that I'm a little bit on the analytical side, and for me, it was hard for me to get around the fact that if Gary Greenacre and Bob Smith put in an offer at 500,000 with 20% down, that they would be the same, but they're not. They couldn't be further from the truth, right? Because there's a story and there's a narrative and there's a communication behind every transaction, right? And I'll bet you that many of us on this call have taken offers that on paper may not seem to be the strongest offer, but it's based upon the reputation or the communication of the cooperating agent. Is that true?
Yes.
Right. So, communication is probably a linchpin to everything else that we have. If we are the market expert, right, and we know exactly what we're doing, if we can't communicate it, are we going to have the opportunity?
No.
Probably not, right? And I mean, if we're great communicators, but we don't know what we're doing, then we also fall short. But I think most of us, a lot of the industry is knowledgeable about what needs to be done, but what they are ineffective at is getting the message across. Okay. I was just talking to one of our associates here in Boynton Beach, Florida here, and she had actually said, "Hey, I took 4 listings this week, and one of them, we got it under contract in 3 days." And her comment to me was, I talk to my sellers and I say, "Do you want me to list your house or sell it? And if you want me to sell it, here's what we need to do." And I thought that was cute and creative, but I thought it was also effective, right? And there's a process for doing that. So some of us here in Florida, we've seen inventory build up, extended days on market, 4 days to getting under contract's pretty impressive. And I think it was all about the communication and setting the right expectation. Correct?
Mhm.
And many of you, I've worked with you on doing price comparisons, price analysis in a way that you probably aren't accustomed to, where you look at the comps and you say, "Hey, this is where I think your house is." Most sellers are emotional about the sale of their own house. It's hard for them to be unbiased. And does anybody want to just volunteer? Did you ever know that somebody was going down the wrong path and maybe they said these words to you? "Hey, can we just try it at X? Can we just try it at 10,000 more, 50,000 more, and then maybe in 2 weeks we'll lower the price"? Anybody want to admit to having that experience and tell me how you dealt with it?
Rob, it's Cindy in Arizona. So I think that happens in a lot of seller scenarios in our market. And I just remind them of what their own goal was that they told me that they wanted to get moved and that they had a house they were interested in and the other location. And, just trying it could delay the whole process for them. And then when they start really thinking about it, they really say, I guess you're right. So I think it's really important to help them see it from their own perspective and just remind them of what they're trying to accomplish.
So Cindy, my thought process on this evolved around a second year agent that was doing a lot of outbound calling and prospecting. And he would go out and essentially take listings at prices that he knew weren't going to sell. And his aha moment, which was not an aha moment for me, was, hey, Cindy, I'll take it at 750, but if it doesn't sell in 2 weeks, we're going to lower it to 699, right?
Mhm.
And he thought that shift, right, was getting it across that, hey, I believe it's 699. You want to go at 750, I'm going to let you try it, right? Now, if anybody's done any of these in-depth reviews with me, one of the critical killers of listings is days on market, right? When you build up days on market, what happens to the ultimate sales price?
Lower.
Anybody?
Going down.
Lower,
Mhm.
right?
Lower.
Has anybody had recently one of my market reviews where we looked at days on market together? Anybody on here done that? There's usually a breaking point, whether it's 21 days, 15 days, or 30 days, where you can see that after that point in time, the list to sale price drops dramatically. Okay. And it's not just a matter of dropping below where it should have been. Every other metric, you look at year built, you look at bedrooms, bathrooms, square footage, sale price to assessment, all of those numbers reduce because we haven't been effective communicators, right? And if somebody
Right.
says, can we try my 699 house at 750? What do you say? Who wants to role play with me here on that communication piece?
We're gonna go to the market at that price. We're gonna be talking about a reduction in a couple weeks, and then it's gonna be a bad idea because you could lose out on a buyer who's looking today only up to 700. So 699 is a much better idea. We might get over 700 offer or multiple offers, or we could just miss the market. Everybody's chasing the market now. They're overpriced and they're not speaking to the seller with the confidence that they need to. And we're seeing it in all markets. And those
David,
homes stay on market longer.
David, if you role played that with me, right? And let's just say that the house is worth $699, right? That's pretty much what most competent professionals will say. Hey, this is likely the value. I come to you, and if we role play, say, hey, David, I was referred to you by my neighbor. They said you're awesome. Can you just try to sell it for 750? We really need the money.
Well, that could have worked in the past, but that's not something that's working in today's market. I think you're going to shoot yourself in the foot, and we're going to be speaking in a couple weeks, and you're just going to start small price reductions, and that's not going to be the best strategy. What I would do is take a look at the last 6 things that I listed and show you the way that it worked really, really well for my sellers and why we, ended up netting, higher. And this is the best way to go. And I'm very confident to walk away from a listing if they're not, if they're not listening to my advice. It's just doesn't make sense.
And can you switch that more towards asking questions, you think, David, or no?
Yeah, you can ask more questions. I think that most of the times, if you lead the dance in the conversation and you sound like you know what you're doing, you have that experience, I don't think you need to ask too many more questions. I think people can sense I know if I walk into an appointment like this and I'm confident with my numbers, I know that market, I'm not going to have to speak about this for too long and get into all these questions that others would ask. I think the seller is going to quickly understand, like, this is what's worked, this is what's working, and I need to listen up because they started the conversation thinking they knew what it was going to be priced at and how it was going to work. But I'm hired, I'm there to give them the advice of today's market, and then they typically go with that direction.
So, I'm gonna pull something up here.
And you can actually, like you said, the strategy, you can ask questions about like, this is your neighbor. Do you know your neighbor? You know, and then, or do you know this house? I think you've probably already shown this, your CMA, so they like would have something to reference with that, like you said, case studies, giving your strategy, and then, yeah, I mean, lead it, but there's, I mean, just throw some questions about like, do you know this? Have you seen this? This sold for this, like actual, like you said, case studies. That helps a lot when people have something. to
Yeah, I mean, I
reference.
just think a lot of selling agents, they're continuing to go down the path of listening to their agents, listening to their sellers as opposed to advising, and they're managing the expectation versus setting the tone. And I always say lead the dance, because if you are listed correctly, you're going to get more showings that are going to lead to more offers and a higher sales price.
Totally.
So here is, so I'm going to go back to years ago. I was doing a session in Tinton Falls, and probably 2001, 2000. And you have a lot of, how can I put it? You have a lot of property owners that have sold and bought before. They made me think that they know how it works. And the vibe that I got was, David, they're coming to you and saying, you know, David, I'm arms folded. I'm not going to give my house away. Okay. I can wait for the right buyer. I don't even need to sell. So I'm not going to lowball the price.
I hear what you're
And
saying.
they never-
It's not a low ball. It's the market's changing so quick, Mr. Seller, that we have to look at this differently than what you probably talked to the last realtor and how it didn't work. Because I'm the third agent here sitting in your house, but I'm the agent that's going to sell it for you. You know, you talked about, getting your house on the market, and, they did a decent job at putting together some video and photos. But we're going to attract the buyer, and we're going to actually close this file for you, and we're going to help you move on to the next chapter. And it's so important to walk in and walk out with that confidence, knowing what you're talking about with your numbers. You're not flinching. You're not like you know what you're talking about, and people are going to listen. I think everybody makes it so complicated. If you actually just stick to what you believe in and don't go off that, you're going to get the listing at the right price. You're going to sell it at the way it should sell. And I mean, we're seeing things picking up everywhere in Florida. I mean, there's a number of homes that a number of our agents are selling within 1 to 4 weeks, where we were taking there was inventory sitting for 5 and 6 months. You got to be very firm, and there's nothing wrong with that.
So if you were to go to that overconfident seller, the emotional seller, and say, hey, if we listed at 900 and we're waiting for the perfect buyer comes along in 2 months, because you're in no hurry, you can wait. If they see that it's not been, nobody's purchased it in 2 months, how do you think they're going to go about making an offer, whether you reduce the price or not?
Right. Yeah.
And you have to ask them that. Right. So if a house has been on the market for 2 months as a buyer, Zeke, how would you coach a buyer if a house has been on the market for 2 months and hasn't had any action? And they say, I love this house.
We're coming on the lower side.
You're not going in at list. You see weakness, so you're gonna try to get what you can.
Today I put a home under contract this morning for 665. It was last at 700, and it hit the market 60 days ago at 800,000. So 135,000 under what they hit the market at. And I got them a boat, an incredible shed, and a golf cart with some furnishings. I mean, it's a steal. But we're in charge as right now, because I had a strong buyer and there was no other offers. So the fact that I knew that seller's agent, and she was able to convey that it was a strong offer with a strong agent, there was no question that we were going to work it out. And I mean, that's well over like second lot, a boat, this, that, there was so much value and there was no way we're gonna lose that deal. And then,
And David, contrast that though to, you know, maybe one of your listings or the one that I just spoke to an agent here about where in 3 or 4 days, it was already signed, sealed, delivered, done. Same
So-
market, maybe a little bit different, but Southern Florida. I think that the piece that we've not been trained to do, and our tendency is to educate because we've been studying the market, right? We know what's going on, but a lot of times we need to take a step back and maybe just ask some better questions, figure out how do we, you know, how do we get to the outcome without, you know, pushing, right?
Well,
If
I
you tell
asked,
them-
I asked that seller's agent, why are you guys, you know, why, she wasn't strong, the listing agent who I've done a deal with before, she wasn't strong enough to get 6%. She wasn't strong enough to get it at the right price. And in my opinion, I win and she loses. How happy is that seller? I mean, they were walking away with a lot less. If they would have started at the right price, they maybe would have gotten closer to that list price, but they really, you know, had to drop their pants. You know, it wasn't that long. It was 2 months, you know, from the time they, maybe not even since they went on the market. But here the buyer wins and the seller loses. If I would have listed that house, I would have done a completely different presentation to that seller to try to get them at least an extra $50,000-$60,000. Yeah, it goes to, it goes together, that listing it at the right price, getting the, you know, the right terms, getting that extra point or half a point. I mean, people are just accepting whatever they say the market's doing. You have to, you know, control, you know, create it. You have to be confident. You have to walk in there. I know Glenn Baker wouldn't accept less than what he thinks it should do, or Jason Panos. Nobody like that does business at a high level is just going to be like, yeah, we'll try it like that. No, you got to direct them. You have to advise them. And again, for me, if you have that experience, you just got to stay focused on your ideals and drive home what you came in there to do, and you're gonna be in a good place.
And I sat with an agent in Parkland yesterday, and we looked at, you know, some of his listings, and days on market are building up in his market. And he was kind of middle of the road. And, you know, when I ran his stats, it showed that he was selling houses for $400 more than the competition based on list to sale price. Not very exciting, you know, selling them 2 days quicker instead of 47 days. He was selling them at 45 days. And I'm like, we can't market that. Right? It's not a significant difference. If you are able to communicate, and honestly, if the only thing that we take away from today is we're able to communicate in an effective way the days on market to sellers, kill transactions, that would make this hour together worth it. And if the other thing we get on buyers is that the price itself, you know, the price in terms is not the only driving factor, it's the way that you present it, which carries the day. You know, David, you brought up Glenn, and you know, Glenn does the videos, right? Because, you know, if you've been in the business for, you know, as many years as myself, and I'm gonna Mr. Durso, are you able to unmute yourself? Rob Durso? No? Okay. So,
Yes, sir.
if you've
I
been in
got
the
you.
business for, okay. So Rob, when you started in the business, did you ever go to a seller and present an offer directly?
All the time.
Like when you had a buyer, right? Isn't that the way the business used to be done? You would meet the seller and their agent at their house?
Sometimes we were 2 and 3 standing on the porch waiting to get in.
Right. So let me ask you, if you had the same offer as 9 other agents and you're presenting in person, what was your chance of winning that? Are you still there?
It depends how confident I would be, but I would have a much better chance than if I wasn't there.
Right. I mean, most of the agents that haven't left the business, Rob, would say if I got in front of the seller and I could explain my offer, discuss my client, I'm winning 9.5 out of 10.
Today, I say that all day long. But back in the beginning, as a new agent, I didn't have that confidence, but I had a much greater chance than anybody else because I was
I
in
mean,
front of them.
you can have the same you can have the same offer, written offer. You're going there with the same facts, but you can come out with a better outcome. And the only difference there, Mr. Durso, was your communication skills, your ability to
Exactly.
persuade somebody based on the merits of your client. It's the way that you carried yourself, right? 93% of communication is not the words, right? It's not the words on the paper. So,
1000%.
there's that story that Rob Garver used to talk about. He went there and, the listing agent was in sweatpants and he was in a suit, and I think the seller said, we're taking your offer. And by the way, why aren't you dressed up like he is? Why don't you present yourself the same way? So in the day of technology where everything is electronic, here, let me just email this over to you, right? We've lost the art of being able to persuade, and persuade's not a negative term. It's not a manipulation. Okay. Persuade is part of sales, right? I'm going to persuade the listing agent that I have the best offer. Okay. I'm going to communicate with my sellers that there's a different strategy that can get them a better outcome, right? Because if we don't educate, has anybody ever done such a great job where you got somebody an offer in the first 2 or 3 days and they were hesitant about it? Anybody ever had that experience?
Of course,
Yeah.
they think you're
Kind
not
of.
doing your job. You underpriced it.
So, so Cindy, Jason, have you ever had that experience where, they're like, ah, shucks, I should have asked. Let me ask you, you've had it, right? And
Yeah.
do
Just this last week, I had that with the seller. And we're in inspection period now, but it took a little bit of convincing them to understand that behind the scenes, I was doing work to help push the pricing back up to even where we were at list because we had 2 offers in. And so once they kind of understood what was happening and the work we were doing behind the scenes, because I think a lot of times our sellers don't understand the work we do to set things up to maximize their return. And so it was just, again, that communication piece of making sure the seller understands what I was doing all day from the time we got 2 offers to the time I presented to them in the evening, with both offers being another $15,000 higher. So
um, and did they think that they underpriced it, Cindy?
yeah, that was the first comment. That's why I was laughing about that when they said that, because it happens every time when you get that offer early, but it's because we marketed the property correctly, that we had great pictures of the property, all those things that we do to set it up so that we can maximize their return. And at the end of the day, they were fine and happy with what happened, but it was the initial reaction, like, oh, we should have asked for another 20 grand. And so, it's always interesting to have those conversations.
And Jason, did you have something to say as well?
Oh, no. I mean, I've had it happen. I was just answering your question. No, the reality is I had this happen about a month ago, and he said exactly that. Do you think we should have gone 15, 20, 25,000 more? And I told him, I said, no, the reason why we got the offer when we did, like when we did the presentation, if we market it at the right price, your first 5 or 6 people in the door are going to be your heaviest candidates right out of the gate. If we had gone higher, we're going to be getting an offer 60 days, 80 days down the road on the first price reduction, and they're going to be asking for all kinds of concessions. What's great about this offer, you have a lot more negotiating power. You can raise the price a little bit to cover their concessions. You can do things you won't be able to do 90 days from now. And he was like, okay, I'm good with it, because his bottom line was higher than he thought it would be.
Yeah.
right? And you know, sometimes I need this to be, doesn't have any influence over price. I want to share with you, oops, what is going on here? Give me a second. All right, I'm having trouble sharing, but while I'm resolving that, if you don't set the expectation that you're getting that lower days on market means a higher price, it's very difficult to explain that you didn't underprice it after you get your offers early on. I'll repeat that. If you don't set the expectation that a quick sale means a higher price, you're going to be vulnerable to people saying that we underpriced it because we have an offer in 3 days, right? Or we have 2 offers in 3 days. Does that make sense?
Actually, you know,
Okay.
something you just said, Rob, I remember this about a year ago. I had a land listing that had this happen, and I did underprice it. And I had 7 offers in 12 hours, and it was totally unexpected. We went back to the table. I said, look, let's take it off the market. Let's raise it. And I still got 4 more offers when we went back on the market, 15,000 higher. So I think that somebody said, and I forget the coach that said, you can never underprice a house. If you do, the market will take care of it. You'll get 10 offers. They'll push the price up, probably near where the market will say. But if you market your house at $1,000, the market's going to take care of it for you. It's when you price it well and you get the offer right away, then you know that if you get one solid offer, you knew you priced it well. If you underprice, you'll get 10 right away.
So in your mind, and I tend to agree. I don't think that you can. I mean, if you can price, anybody ever see somebody price something at $1 in their market? I've seen that in a few markets.
Yeah, in the Phoenix market, they do that.
California, Southern California.
I mean, it's kind of it's a little bit ridiculous, but it's probably going to get them. It's probably going to get them to the right spot because they might create a frenzy, right?
Yeah.
They work for the agent when they've got, 25 offers.
I'm going to share this, and this is something that we first need to convince ourselves on before we're able to convince anybody else. And I might need to come right back in. Hang on. There we go. So here's and this is Anytown, USA. This happens to be a higher price property. I removed the property address, but this one was in New Jersey. And all the properties that sold under 30 days on the market were selling for a 4% premium. 30 to 75 days selling at a 3.2% discount and a 10.21% discount between 75 and 360 days on the market. New Jersey's still a pretty solid seller's market, but if you learn how to see the impact of days on market, and what I want to share with you is it's not an anomaly of these houses were grossly overpriced, because I can look at it 3 different ways. I can look at it sale to assessed value, which is an independent barometer, right? So in New Jersey, they try to assess you as close to market value and probably assess every 10 years or so. And these are all in the same market. So the sale to assessed value on homes under 30 days is 38.1% above assessed value, 20.68 on 30 to 75 days, and only a 10.44% premium on homes that sold over 75 days on the market. So if I were discussing it with this seller, and hopefully our agent with this data, which we prepared before the appointment, had this, they're going to price it correctly, and they're going to celebrate when it goes under contract in 5 days. Okay, because the reality is you're not giving away leverage. You're maximizing it, and it's not because you're smarter, it's because you can communicate it. Everybody here knows that. But when the seller gets a contract early on and says, maybe I'll wait, I would bet that anybody that's been in the business for 2 years or longer and has had more than 10 listings has had a seller say, oh, this is really early, I'm going to wait and see if I get a better offer. And then they're wishing that they took that first offer. Right?
Yep.
I mean, Gary Greenacre, you must have seen that, right? Or you know, if you have 2 offers and you happen to dilly-dally and you tell the person, oh, we're going to go with the other offer, and then it doesn't come together, that first offer is not coming back, right? They're like, oh, now you want me, huh?
Well, and definitely
My
not
offer-
coming back at the same price.
My offer is a lot less now, right?
Yep.
So, but the public, I really don't think the public understands that. And I think that we know it, but I don't think we do a great job at communicating that with them. And, you know, just like with Rob Durso and Robert from Pinebrook.
Everything has to do, everything has to do with the motivation. If the seller does not have that motivation, does not have, you know, that urgency to move, you know, no matter what you say, no matter what you do, they stuck where they are. And just this week, I had I showed property there in the area here in Broward, and there were condos, and certainly the condo market here is so depressed that 3 of them told me, the seller told me, oh, we sold this before for higher money, for higher price. I felt like saying, yeah, you didn't have me to represent you. You didn't have it. But yeah, the thing is that it all depends what the urgency is. And certainly asking instead of telling is much, much better. That's what we need to be expert at. You know, showing people and asking them questions if that will work for them, and putting everything in a question mode. Yes, that works much, much better.
Tony, let me press a little bit on that statement, right? You said the seller is not motivated. What does that mean?
Well, I have 2, as a matter of fact. One I sold, I put under contract, I got lucky. That sometimes you get lucky. And the other one, this guy is a big investor, commercial, industrial, God knows what. He lives there in a multi-million-dollar house on the water. I said, I know you, I saw you there where you are. I understand, but this is what the property are selling there. There are 2 properties in better condition than his that they sold for $450 and $475. I said, why do you want to ask yours $499? Oh, I'm not in a hurry. I know the market is coming up. You know, the house is vacant. It's clean. It was my mother's house. I bought it for her 30 years ago. I have no mortgage on it. I said, yeah, the house is vacant. It's costing you money. Oh, I don't care. I said, all right, as long as you understand where the market is. And I wanted to say, since you know more than I do, because you are industrial, commercial, whatever the heck he is, yeah. But the house has been there now for 2 weeks. Nobody's seen it. So I have to go through his assistant and tell the assistant, hey, did you show this listing to your boss there to make sure that he knows that their property is not a 500, but it's a 450. But you know, sometimes you have those people that no matter what, you cannot.
So Tony, and you've been doing this a long time. How does this listing end up? Like, if you're going to write this story, how does it end?
Oh, how's it at? I don't know. I just put it on the market. The
But no,
last
but,
2
but,
weeks.
forget like this profile, right? When somebody has that mindset, because this is not the first client you've ever had that's been like, oh, I know more than you. I'm gonna do, right? You've had people like that before. How does it usually end?
Well, it usually ends that either they come to realize that we need to do something different, to change it, because 90%, of selling, it's the price. If the price is not right, even if you give me or you give to Jesus, nothing happens. So it hands that up to the seller, if they decide to change the price, because if they don't, that listing will expire, that they will expire. I just put one on the contract that wasn't expired. I released it and I told the lady, hey, listen, the house there should be around 450, something like that, 440, 450. We sold for 447, but no, she wanted to go up 475. After 475, 2 weeks later, nobody sees it. They came down 460. I said, it still is no good. If that was good, I would suggest you to do it, but I would not suggest you to go 460. But they got lucky because there was the sellers, sometimes they get lucky because there was nothing else that available in the area. So they got somebody that paid cash for it for 447. So that's how I ended the other one.
So either they capitulate and come to the right price, or they expire, right?
Exactly. Yeah. This one was expired before, and the other one that he wants to put on the market, I put on the market for 500. He was a fistball for 3 months. So if that one there was worth 500,000, he would already sold it. But some people, they just thick. They don't see the light.
So
But anyway, I took that listing also. Instead to be 450, it's 500. I took it because there was nothing on the market. So hopefully somebody sees it, somebody wants it, and it will make an offer. And maybe the guy come to realize how to be realistic, that he needs to be realistic. That's the only reason why I put that property on the market. Otherwise, I would say to the guy, listen, I don't think I'm the right agent for you, that I am. So just look for somebody else, But there was nothing on the market. So I said, well, let's give it a chance. Let's give it a shot.
I mean, if we could find a way to to demonstrate to sellers that I haven't seen days on market. I haven't seen sellers that aren't desperate sit on the market for a longer marketing time and get rewarded for that. I just haven't seen that in my career. Okay, I haven't seen the person that says, Tony, I'm in no hurry to sell this. I can wait for the right buyer. I haven't seen that strategy work.
Okay. Oh no, I agree with you. I mean, you tell me. I mean, I started in 1983 when interest rates down here in Florida was 17%. And I saw the homes that were selling, and I saw the homes that were not selling, and the difference was the price. And the people used to tell me, "Oh, until 3 months ago, we sold this for 200,000." Well, not today. Not today. The market has changed. Yeah, and now I am so sophisticated, with all this, what do you call statistic and all that, and they still, some people still, don't want to listen. They still want to do what they want to do. So
I love the fact that there are objections to strategies that we have, because that gives me the ability to differentiate myself and earn more business. Okay.
and certainly you
The only way
business, we get business, because we have experience and knowledge, of the market and the area. Certainly we get more business than the others, but but we all know that it's not always the same. People are people.
So here's some things, Tony, before communication matters is core beliefs. Is I believe the way you launch a property matters, right? And I think most of us here, if not all of us, understand that the way that the property is positioned when it first hits the market has significance, right? I mean, some of us are, will only launch a property on a specific day of the week, right? How many of you, by show of hands, will only launch a property on a specific day? Like you do it on Tuesdays, Wednesdays, Thursdays. What days do you launch the property?
Can I say something about that? In the
Yeah.
villages, we can have open houses any day of the week and we will get traffic. Because we have a lot of retirees that they have nothing better to do but go to open houses.
Oh,
on
yeah.
car.
I'm
Right.
going to one of her listings after this afternoon, and I was just talking to her. She was explaining to me how they have listings here that are open Monday through Sunday. It's,
Mhm.
I mean, it's wild. I don't think any of our other markets have that.
Market specific.
And this is very market specific. But people come, they're on their golf carts, they're looking at their next house, and there's also a lot of every couple of years they're moving. It's a lot faster than
Yeah.
like the typical 5 to
Yep.
7.
Yep.
But yeah, they get traffic 7 days a week to an open house. Wild.
I guess I'm gonna see if Glenn's where you talk. Is there a day that you launch all your listings, Glenn, of the week or no?
Thursday.
And why do you do it on Thursday?
Reduces days on market, gives me adequate time to get media out for weekend open houses. And we look at it like the first weekend is the weekend that makes or breaks a listing. So.
Mhm.
And
I agree with Glenn. We do the same. I do the same thing.
I do Wednesdays just to give it a little bit more time to propagate to the partner websites. But yeah, basically same reasoning.
Yeah, and I just don't have enough time to do it on a Wednesday. If most of my shoots are of the week during the week of the listing, because we get to market very fast. So it's usually Tuesday is the media shoot. I can't produce enough content by Wednesday to get it done. Otherwise, I do Wednesday.
Glenn, how do you know you hit the mark when you put a listing on?
Offers quickly, traffic. If it comes off the market quickly in August, you know you did something right.
So getting multiple bids, right? That's the name of the game, isn't it?
It is. And remember, Rob, I don't run 106% over asking myself. Some of my team members do. I run very close to my asking price, not running over it because I just have a premise that if the market turns, I don't want to be the guy that screwed it up and get less than what I wanted. So I've always practiced that way, but you better be damn good at your numbers is the answer.
So most of your listings sell plus or minus a couple points where you list it?
Yeah, 1025 is probably the max I'll be at most of the time. And I still break records in all the neighborhoods, but I'm at that amount.
So you push the envelope to be a little bit more aggressive at the ask price.
Yeah, I believe our media is so appealing that it makes a difference. People are compelled to come.
And I believe days on market kill. I believe that the market will seek its own level with competitive bids. I believe you only get one chance at a first impression, right?
Mhm.
I think if we could just learn how to share effectively with a home seller that waiting 2 weeks to reposition it is not the same as pricing it right to get it to launch it.
Yeah.
Right. When you launch a listing in today's world of technology, everybody's seeing it right away. And they make an opinion, I'm interested or I'm not, right? It's not, maybe, maybe not. A lot of times they're like, I want to see Tony's listing. I don't want to see Mary's listing.
Yeah. Rob, one word you use, and I think it's an important one because my recent listings have all said it, using the word launch opposed to putting the house on the market or other things has clearly, I've been in 4 different agent competitions of recent in my own marketplace. And the word launch was why they used me. Literally, the wording you choose is so critical. It's not putting a listing on the market. It's not putting it for sale. It's not putting it on the MLS. You're launching the listing.
Right, it's an event.
Yep.
Okay, so yeah, so it's not like this subtle, or here it goes into the market quietly. You want to launch it, you want to get an impact, right? You don't want to have people not, you don't want to not have an impact when it goes on the market.
Yeah.
So, changing that word, Glenn, thanks for reinforcing that. But if you have that conversation with your sellers, when you relaunch something, it's not the same, right? And I remember one of our agents shared with me that his storytelling was, when I launch your listing, when it hits the market, okay, it is like opening day of a Broadway show. Okay, people are going to look at your house and they're going to draw an opinion. And if opening day is a flop, that production is not going to be a profitable, successful production, right? In other words, I can't call the New York Times out and say, can you unsee the first launch and watch it again with a fresh set of eyes? No, it's not, it's ridiculous. You can't. Okay. Launch like a premiere of a movie. I like that, Sermi. So, but you can't unsee it, right? And if you see something that's not priced right and you go next, right, you swipe it next, then when it gets to the right price, you're like, oh, I saw that one before. I'm not even interested, right? It's like old news. And years ago, when the market was more normal, sometimes there would be a listing on the market for a long time. You wouldn't even see it anymore. You drive by that sign, you would forget that it was even on the market because it was there for so long. So, communication, consistency and systems, Glenn is so system oriented, he might start twitching if you try to put his listing on Wednesday because he's so used to doing it on Thursday. You have a system, you have all your shoots done, right, Glenn, by Tuesday.
Yep.
And then you complete the process to get it ready, and then you launch it on Wednesday or Thursday.
Correct. So much so, Rob, that I'm a student of data, and I watch listings that go online on Saturdays and Sundays, and I scratch my head going like, why would you do that? I'm amazed because it's such a disadvantage to their client, and I watch them flounder.
And another thing is, if you really work at your craft, I love objections. I literally, because that gives me the ability to differentiate, right? I like it when somebody, pushes back. And I think a lot of us, we try to avoid objections, right? You go there and you're like, I hope they don't ask that question. And maybe early on in your career, you were like that, but I'm like, ask me questions, ask me anything. And it's not going to be gimmicky answers either.
Yeah. When
It's
you
going to be
say
authentic.
launch there, Bruce, what is it that you do when you launch your listing?
You're talking to Glenn?
Chief Baker.
Chief Baker.
Yeah, cool. So basically it all starts before the listing. So first thing we do is it's full media package, nothing less is acceptable. So that means Zillow 3D, photos, video, reel. So they're two separate ones because they're shot at different angles, and full drone video as well as still photos. From there, we take those and cut them up into various media types. So I have a AI bot that basically takes that description and creates all of my social media posts based on question and answer it asks me about the home. And then we schedule all those out so that we get optimal times. So for instance, Zillow, if you just put up your listing, you'll show up, and because you're the shiny new object, they'll give you a bunch of credit. But if you put up your new listing and then 24 hours later put up the open house, you stay at the top 3 for an additional 2 days. And then if you take that and then you put a video on top of it for Zillow, they give you even more credit and they keep you at the top riding high for 7 to 10 days, opposed to the 3 before the next shiny object comes your way. They basically reward you in rankings so that you get more saves and views if you stage out the timing of when you release your media. So we don't put all of our videos up day one. We do it staged out sequentially each and every day. I should say the only reason I know that is because I worked on Zillow's algorithm in my professional life.
Chief, this is Ezekiel from Remax. I have a question. From the time that the listing is signed to when it hits the market, what do you have? A week and a half?
No, almost all of my listings will be signed. I tell everyone I have to have photos by Tuesday. So that means my cleaning crew has to come in on Monday or Tuesday morning. So everyone knows that that's on launch week. It has to be there. So my documentation has to be in line before my cleaning people come out. So sometimes I'll sign it Monday and we'll do photos and cleaning on Tuesday.
So when does it hit the market? A week, that very week, but
That
maybe
week,
5 days?
yeah. Yeah, and it's not even a stretch. I put 8 on a week ago, and it wasn't even like any other week. It was the same old thing because it's so routine and so process oriented.
Thank you.
I
I have a question.
You don't have to think about it. Go ahead.
When you place the video, does it have to be a 360 video tour on Zillow or?
They're
Like,
shot
does it-
differently. So your photographer has to have a relationship with Zillow, and they'll use a camera that actually produces it for Zillow 3D. I'm not a fan of what's the word? What's the other one that's out there? I'm drawing a blank for some reason. Matterport, because Matterport operates terribly on cell phones. So, and everyone's looking at my listings on cell phones. So Zillow 3D just happens to be a lot more efficient and fast. So I prefer that. And the cool thing about Zillow 3D is also it creates a 3D, it creates a floor plan for you. And it's within like half an inch of accuracy. So I don't take measurements anymore of my homes. It saves me all that time of doing measurements by using that Zillow 3D as well.
So say mine is 57 days on market right now. Can I still do a video? Is it still gonna pop it?
If you do a Zillow 3D, they'll give you credit and it should move you up in the rankings, even though you're not new.
Okay.
And,
Thank
and
you.
like if anyone Googles Zillow and the ways that the algorithm works, you'll come up with a bunch of things. Like for instance, countertops being cleaned off isn't just for the sake of being cleaned off. Zillow ranks you based upon the shininess of your countertop, and it can tell the difference between Formica and hard surfaces. So you get better rankings because you're the better looking picture, right? So it's not just one thing, it's the whole. When I say there's a whole process and it's all baked into how we do it across the board. So when we walk through, we start that the moment we're doing the listing discussion, not at the time we're putting the listing online. So the client understands what they're going to need to do too.
So Anna, let me ask you a question. When you listed that, did you suspect it might have an extended marketing time?
I did because of the challenges with the other ones that are in the building as well. Considering obviously it's a lifestyle choice. This particular condo is a lifestyle choice. I knew it was going to be on market a little. I did actually provide the days on market, and I am obviously going to have a talk with him because he's moving his furniture out today. So I will have a complete empty condo.
Do you ever consider giving it a whole new look and withdrawing it and re-entering it as a new listing? Because we do that. Some of my agents have done that up in New Jersey, and it really gets a whole fresh look. Then you get everything out there. Everybody's looking at it for the first time. If it's been on the market that long, you have a whole new group of buyers, and they don't really need, or necessarily not all the agents will catch on that it was listed before. I don't know your system. They can see it if they really look for it, but sometimes it's worth relisting it with a listing fee and doing the big bang and everything. But that's just a suggestion.
You have to.
I agree.
You
I
have
agree
to
with
take it
that
off
wholeheartedly.
60 days. In Florida, you have to take it off, or in our MLS, you have to take it off 60 days for it to come back on as a new listing.
In Arizona, it's 47 days, but it's interesting nationally because they're using a term now, you guys might have heard about it, called delisting. And Realtor.com and Zillow and all of the national media has been kind of hyping it. So two of the largest areas in the nation that are doing delistings, meaning taking the listing off for a bit, are Arizona, like the Phoenix Scottsdale market where I am, and then also Miami. Those are two of the biggest in the nation. And so I did an interview with one of our local stations just recently about it, but they were talking about why is this new thing of delisting, which really isn't new, but it's the tagline they're all talking about. And for us in Arizona, when it's 118 degrees in the summer, sometimes it does make sense to take it off. We have to be off the market 47 days for it to clear and go back to 0 days on market.
So, no, but if you, Cindy, if you take it off the market, right, and then you put it on 2 days later, does it get a different MLS number?
It gets a different MLS number, but the days on market calculate unless you leave it off the market for 47 days. Then it'll go
Right,
back to
but I
0
think,
days.
right, but what I think, you know, and Glenn, I think if you just put it back on the market with a new ML number, it would probably hit Zillow as a new listing, even though it's going to show, you know, on the MLS with days on market. And Zillow might even
No.
have the,
Not anymore, Rob. They changed that. So it keeps running up.
when you say when you're saying the days on market keep running up, right?
Correct. It'll show that even
Right,
if you
right,
put the,
but if you put it on with the new ML number, will it not show up as a new listing though? And it'll show 50 days on market, but it'll come into my feed or no?
the counter still counts. I think what they're saying about the days, Zillow has their own counter too. I think it's 30 days off of Zillow in order to get a new listing. I think
Right.
the counter keeps going up now. They changed that about 1.5 years ago, 2 years ago.
Right, but and I'm not so concerned about, because I think the public can, if they look into it, they'll see the days on market. But will it come into my feed as a new listing with a new ML number? I think it would, but I'm not sure.
Our
don't
days,
recall
our
seeing
days
notices.
on, our days on market on our listings are pretty prevalent. Like, you know, you would notice it, but it's interesting. If you go back 0 days on market, like you're off market for 47 days and then you go back on, a lot of agents don't, that are newer agents in particular, don't know to look back and see from the last listing what it was listed at. So it really gives it that little extra kick of looking like it is completely a new listing. So.
What Rob is saying is correct though. It just happened here in Tucson with one of our listings, is that forget what the days on market is. When you get a new MLS number on it, Zillow, even though the ticker still says, let's say 50 days on market, the new feeds and the notifications that are sent, let's say if you have the Zillow app on your phone and it says new listing in the Marana area, it does pop up because it does have a new MLS number of a new listing. It just does not have the new listing data of a 0 day on market listing, but it still
Right.
does get notified to all Zillow users that a new listing has occurred.
Yeah, and when they're looking in the
Okay.
top right-hand corner, though, it doesn't rank like a new listing would.
Correct.
So you don't get in the top 3 unless you make some action. That's why the trick is if you delist and relist, you need to do something else at the same exact time. Put up an open house, put up a Zillow 3D, something else to get you up on that top 3 list again, so that you're viewed. And my one suggestion is never ever relist with the same front picture. That's just suicide.
Yep. The only benefit you get from Zillow is that initial out push from Zillow to the notifications of it's a new listing, even though it really isn't. But you're right, Glenn. There is absolutely no benefit after that.
Yeah, so and I'm gonna just circle back with you just to try to do maybe a little experiment with yours if you're open to that. And we're over time here. I appreciate everybody's insight, and you know, if you're not here and taking notes from some of your peers that have excellent ideas, I think you're crazy because you know, just even the language, Glenn, like using the word launch, if that's something that you took from here, right, it differentiates you.
I
It
just want
makes
to
it
ask a
seem like
question
it's
to
it both
maybe
makes it seem like it's an event, and it is an event. Go ahead, Tony.
No, I just want to ask you, since he knows so much about Zillow there, what's the best package that they have, Chief Baker?
You mean like the things that they're selling you?
Yeah. What's the best value, the best package value?
None of them.
None of them. That's why I never used them. Which one do you use?
Best answer ever.
I look, no one, I'm sure I've seen MLS from Arizona. I haven't seen Florida's. I'm sure all of the MLSs are ugly, right? The products we're putting out and we accept from our MLS is not Zillow. And that's the reason why people shop Zillow, right? So the answer that I have is use their own technology against them. And if you know how their search works and you watch how their data works, you can use it to get an advantage over the people that are just putting an MLS listing up and putting a sign in the front yard, right? You're out maneuvering them. And that's my attitude, but I don't use any of their products. In fact, the only reason I pay Zillow $50 a month is so that I can call them up to get my listings fixed on a priority support basis. Otherwise I wouldn't pay a dime to them.
Yeah. That $50 is for what?
Literally just so I can call their Zillow Premier agent line and correct listings that they screw up.
So he buys $50 worth of advertising, which
Yeah.
doesn't generate a phone call, but it just gives him priority customer service, right, Glenn?
Yeah, that's correct.
Oh, that's nice.
All right, everybody. Well, we're over. This has been great. We'll keep you posted. If Anna wants to experiment, we'll let everybody know how that works out. Thanks for
When
all
are
your
you gonna be,
contributions.
when are you gonna be in
Glenn.
Florida?
Have a good day.
Where are you in Florida?
When is who going to be in Florida?
You, when are you gonna be in Florida?
Right now, I'm here.
Oh, you're here. Okay, good. I'll talk to you later then.
Yep, you got it. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you.